What is going on, ladies and gentlemen? Randy here with RTS Mobile Gaming, bringing you another amazing video today. We are playing the Lord of the Rings Rise to War, and this is going to be a spotlight deep dive video where we talk about the Aragorn 2 King of Men versus Witch King, okay? So this is a wailed out Aragorn King of Men from Chaos Dragon against my Witch King, alright? But before we get into that, let me take 2 seconds and fix a fact from yesterday. Yesterday I was going through my Discord, and I realized that I actually received reports on the Isildur ranged nuke build from Chaos Nightmare back in the end of Season 5. So I just wanted to point that out. I think yesterday I mentioned that I wasn't sure where that build came from. Maybe it came from Kraken. But I do have reports from Chaos Nightmare, so shout out to him for working that stuff up in Season 5. He had some nice reports. Alright, so into today's video, let's get right into it, alright? Alright. The Witch King, right? Basic build. I'll spend 10 seconds on him. I've got the Reckoning here. I've got anti-burn damage. I've got anti-madness. And I've got the tactical mark on my Palantir of Orthanc. Build-wise, this is running the standard Alchemist build. This is not the physical damage hybrid like I was running yesterday. Although I am running that physical damage build tweaked a little bit moving forward for the rest of the season. This is the standard Alchemist Nuker, okay? Where I have 5,000 Alchemists rocking and rolling, alright? Now, the Aragorn 2 King of Men build is going to be wailed out as well. Very nice here. We have a 5-star Axe of Khazad-dûm. Okay, huge amount of might. You can see here he's got 451 might overall. Very, very powerful. For the chest piece, Explorer's outfit's going to be really strong. Nice stats with some defense. For the helmet, he's using the full helmet. He's actually running an anti-Witch King build. So that's why I wanted to highlight this report. He was able to force a draw, whereas a few minutes earlier I had actually beaten his army of full guard of the towers. Since he made a swap here to get knights in with that helmet, he was able to perform much better. Okay. For the accessory, we have the End Drought with some commander stats on it. This is a very strong accessory with HP and might. So as you can see, 451 might is just stellar. Alright, for the build itself, we are running 15 out of 15 in the top R0 and Ural tree for high damage output. We've got Strider here, 14 out of 15 in order to gain 7 points in his ability for damage later on in the tree. This is going to give him bonus stats from his equipment, which help contribute to that high might. Okay, then we have Precise Blow here, which has got Pursuit and good damage. We've got Raid, which is a rush skill, which does fantastic damage in round 1. All right, and then we have the R5 tree, okay? The R5 tree is going to give his units enormous amount of reduced damage received when stunned or madnessed. And lastly, we have some points over here in Return of the King, okay? So, Return of the King, reduced damage received here, right? Return of the King is really strong. I imagine he'll have this fully leveled up when he's maxed out. In the later rounds of the fight, this will dramatically increase his damage, which would probably give him maybe close to getting a W in this report. I don't know. Maybe, maybe not. If you increase your damage by 70% for round 5 and onwards, pretty substantial. Okay? So, that's the build. Let's see how it performed. Okay, my units really put out a hurting. The Berserkers actually performed extremely well damage per unit compared to the Alchemist damage per unit, and that is because he's running the Knights with the anti-burn damage helmet. Okay, for his damage dealt, primarily damage coming from Aragorn 2 King of Men. However, since my Witch King is running 15 points in Lord of the Nazgul, I do reduce his damage by 30%. This is not a joke. This ability is very, very powerful for this commander. Okay? So we're both countering each other a little bit, right? I got some abilities that counter him. He's got some abilities that counter me. Into the report itself, let's take a look, folks. Don't forget to give me that like and sub if you enjoy the content. Okay, there it is. So in round 1, I am going to stun his units, which means they will take 90% reduced damage once the Witch King gets his stun in. The Knights hit first. The Berserkers hit first because of their speed, it looks like, right? The Alchemists are going to come in. Did I not stun them yet? Maybe I didn't stun them yet. The Witch King didn't go yet. The Witch King doesn't have initiative. So that's so interesting. Did you guys know that? I didn't even think about that. Because my units have initiative, they are going to get their first round of damage off before I even stun the Knights, and the Knights have that damage mitigation ability come into effect. That is very interesting. I never even realized that. So, you will still deal full damage on round 1 with units that have initiative, as long as, your commander doesn't have initiative and trigger some sort of crowd control on the Knights. The Alchemist coming in, 38,000 damage here, 39,000 damage here. Halberdiers. Here we go. King Aragorn, King of Men, is stunned and cannot act. He cannot use his raid ability on round 1 because Lord of the Nazgul has a 20% chance to stun, and I just stunned him. The Knights also stunned. Now we'll take reduced damage, okay? Here we go. So they take 90% reduced damage right now that they're stunned. So I basically dealt 0 damage in round 2. Very nice. Here comes Aragorn coming in hot and heavy, using the precise blow and the raid ability. As you know, with stuns and silences, it doesn't cancel the ability. It just pushes the ability into the next round. So since he was stunned, his raid will now trigger in round 2, along with precise blow. Here in round 3, we'll see full damage coming again. Oh, there's Anduril. We'll see full damage coming again from my units here, the Alchemists and the Berserkers. Oh, wow. The Berserkers are really doing a lot of damage per unit. They're doing immense damage per unit because they don't have that 60% damage mitigation that I'm getting to my Alchemists. Oh, yeah. I want to see some nukes. I want to see some big nukes. I mean, we got precise blow. Wow, and it looks like raid is going to trigger again in round 5 because the stun pushed the entire chain, the entire timeline got pushed 1 round. So now the entire cooldown and everything is 1 round later. So he will trigger raid in round 5 as well. Very nice. Very nice. So we got raid, we got cleave. Increased 10% damage dealt from the Aragorn 2 King of Men. We're moving down the line here. The Knights have finally killed the Halberdiers. Berserkers and Alchemists are still punching him directly in the face. Dramatic damage output here. Dramatic damage output. A lot of damage nukes in round 6, guys. We got Anduril. We got precise blow. Very nice. So overall, it looks like the Witch King really hard counters Aragorn 2 King of Men as long as you're running points in Lord of the Nazgul. I mean, by reducing his commander damage by 30%, stopping his commander damage in round 1, and overall putting out strong DPS, I was able to really put a hurting on him even though he's running units, right? Keep in mind, the Cataphracts gain 25% reduced damage from Alchemists inherently, 15% from here, 10% from here, so they're already taking 25% reduced damage. Then you put a 60% reduced damage on top of that. You're looking at 85% damage mitigation before my abilities from the Witch King come in to counter that from my R3 tree Ring Wraith. So at the end of the day, after you apply Ring Wraith as an additive against those 2 deductives, we're up at 55% damage mitigation against my Alchemist, which is pretty substantial. 55% is pretty substantial. So he is definitely trying to counter. I wonder if he had 1 more point in Strider, he could equip the Herbjörk. Maybe he can equip it without it anyways, I don't even know. Room for improvement. He can equip the Herbjörk. So I would say equip a superior Herbjörk along with that helmet. Really turn these Alchemists' damage into 0, right? You're gonna max it out at 90% mitigation throughout the entire fight, and then when the Knights are stunned, it'll actually be a 99% mitigation. So I would turn this. I would just really overkill it, Dragon. and swap out that chest. Okay, that's the room for improvement on this build. Otherwise, skill-wise, it's tough to say. I don't run King Aragorn, King of Men, very often. I will say that I've seen some builds that were very successful that have more points into the Return of the King. Maybe it's worth having this at like 10 points, maxing out Return of the King, really increasing your damage, and going from there. I would rather you see this Return of the King maxed out versus having more damage mitigation for the off chance that you are stunned or something, okay? So, great fight. Like and sub. Love you a long time, folks. Randy out.